Hey, welcome back to my channel, Indieauthor Jill. I am Jill, and if you're new here, I read and review self-published books. Today we're looking at The Treasured One by Hannah Levin, and this did not go the way I thought it was gonna go, like, at all. The back of the book, it basically tells you Avery is a golden child with the ability to heal any illness or injury. She lives a sheltered life, dutifully healing hopefuls from around the globe. Although she dreams of freedom, she fears disrupting the status quo, that is, until her powers go on the fritz, threatening her health and her relationship with her government caretakers. So... she lives in Washington, D.C. She was actually born in Connecticut. She's an only child. And she was born right around the time that what they call the rift appeared. And the rift basically is a tear in reality where you can go through the rift if you're in this world is on one side of the rift. On the other side of the rift is the Fey world. And when the rift happens, some of the children who were born during that time are blessed with powers, and they're called golden children. And Avery discovers her talent while she's in school. One of her friends falls and scrapes up her knee, and she goes to check on her classmate, and when she inspects the wound, the wound heals. So, shush. So when she goes back home, she tells her mom, and her mom, unlike you would expect the moms to be kind of like, oh, that's nice, dear, or that they're like not quite believing it or whatever, but her mom takes her word for it immediately and grabs a knife and cuts herself and tells her, okay, heal this. And she does, and her mom's excited because she's got a child that is a golden child. And for a while, it's fine, except that word gets out that she can heal, so people start kind of closing in on her to try and get her to heal them. And it's a bit chaotic, and her parents can't really handle it. And so they send her off to the White House. And the White House gives her her own room, and she's pretty much taken care of. And given, they make her nice meals. She has her own stylist that helps her with her hair and her makeup and dress and whatever. And they have a fence so that she can't be, harmed and people can't crush her. So she just reaches through the fence. They'll reach through the fence to her, and she will grab their hands to heal them. And as she's going through this, she finds that her powers are starting to get weaker and weaker. She goes from being able to heal 5 people to now she can heal 1 before she completely collapses. And they rush her back to the doctors, and the doctors don't know anything because they don't know enough about magic to know what's going on with her. But they know that her organs are shutting down. And she explains to the doctor that, this is what's going on with my magic, and he's like, okay, this is beyond our scope of expertise. We're taking you to an expert. So they talk with dignitaries and everything, and they're able to get the leaders of the Fey world to agree to let her come to the Fey world to cure her or treat her. And she goes and she finds out that what's happening is she's been drawing from her own power instead of the bottomless power of mana that she can connect to, the source of the magic. And they point out that you learn to draw from the source, and then you can do your magic a lot longer, and it doesn't hurt you, because when you start pulling from your own power, you're draining your own life force, and that's why her organs are shutting down, because she's drawing from everything that's in her and not refilling it from the mana. And so he takes her to a magic pool that helps her to heal what's been damaged. And after about a month, she's able to be fully healthy to where she can start doing the meditation practices to try and tap into mana. And the whole time, the queen and the high prince, Riel's older brother, are very suspicious of her. They think that the government has not... They're like, oh yeah, the government sent her here to get healed, but that's just a cover-up. They really sent her here to spy on us. And for Avery, she is not... For her, she's there to get healed only, not to spy. And none of the government officials have told her to spy on them. And it doesn't occur to Avery because she's so naive. She's lived such a sheltered life, and the people at the White House are the only ones that have ever cared for her. So she has no reason not to trust them. But she's so naive that it doesn't occur to her that they may want her to give them any information she can give about the Fey world. In her mind, she's literally just there to get healed, but it doesn't occur to her that that might be the... that might not be an ulterior motive of the government. And so as it goes on in the back of the book, it says, in search of answers, Avery travels through the rift to the realm of the Fae, intimidatingly beautiful beings with powers humans don't understand. Their prince, Riel, has motivations of his own when he agrees to teach her about her rare magic, but as they work together, the two are drawn to each other. Now, Riel's motivations are more that he's curious about the human world, and he wants to explore the human world. He wants to explore the human world as much as Avery wants to explore the Fey world. So they both have mutual curiosity about each other's world. Just as Avery manages to unlock the full potential of her powers, a betrayal shakes Riel's house, putting pressure on the already tenuous relationship between humans and the Fae. Caught in the middle, Avery and Riel will have to decide what matters most to them, loyalty to their respective nations or their feelings to one another. I expected this to be very much like Avatar, not The Last Airbender, which I would love. That I do love The Last Airbender, but and it is mentioned because he talks about the 4 different types of magic, and there are some people who can harness and master all 4 levels of magic, and Avery's like, oh, like the Avatar. He's like, what? And she's like, never mind. But when I say Avatar, I'm talking about the blue elf giant dude that lives in a rainforest and has bows and arrows and whatnot. I did not watch the first one. I watched the second one, but I do know enough about the first one where basically he was an American soldier and he went into onto this planet where these other creatures were as one of them, and his goal was supposed to get them to align with the humans, and then he realized that the humans were the bad guys, and so he changes sides and sides with his his new Avatar family. And that's kind of what I expected here, was that Avery was going to be sent there to get healed, but also to kind of get secret information, and then she was going to turn on the government and become one with the Fae and whatnot. And that's not what happens. It's not what happens, but it went a whole different direction than what I expected it to go. And I can't really say more without giving away spoilers. But I do like the way that it went, because there's not really a happy ending. Like, everything is okay in the end. Everything is fine, but neither there's not everything is perfectly fine type situation. You know, there is strain among family members, and there's a distance in a family. Like the family, one of the family units gets, I wouldn't say damaged, because it was not in a good place in the first place. But the pretense of it being a perfect family is gone. The relationship of Avery and, like I said, the relationship with her government caretakers, there's two people that she trusts inexplicitly, and trusts explicitly, and there's another one that he's supposed to be a guardian to her, and their relationship is strained as a result, because he wants things to stay as they are, and she's like, no, there's changes that have to be made, and they will be made on my timeline, or they don't, I defect, you know, basically. And he can't have her do that, so that relationship gets strained. And I love that she goes from being this naive, you know, girl who allows everything to happen to her, and she starts making choices and starts saying, no, I'm calling the shots now. I get to decide what happens to me and where I go and what I do, you know, because up to this point, up to the time when she was, she collapsed, it was, you get up when the White House tells you to get up. You go to these meetings when they tell you to go to these meetings. You meet the people they tell you to meet. You heal the people they tell you to heal. You do what you're told to do when you're told to do it. And she has no option. She doesn't even choose her dinners. They make her meals for her. And so now in this Fae world, she gets a little bit more freedom. And by the time that she ends up spending a couple of months there. And in that time, she gets so used to that freedom that when they're telling her, okay, you got to come back now, and you got to go back to the way things are, she's like, absolutely not. She's like, there's going to be a whole lot of changes. I'm going to decide what I wear. Also, you mind paying me for the stuff that I'm doing? And why do I have to live at the White House? Like, you know, and so they're like, well, let's keep things the way they are now. And she's like, no, I'm not going then. I'm going to stay here. And they're like, we can't leave you here, so guys, what do we do? You know, so they gotta, like I said, it changes her relationship because they're not used to her standing up for herself. And now they have to deal with, they no longer are dealing with child Avery. Now they're dealing with adult, confident Avery. And that also can have an effect on Riel and her relationship, because what he knew was the girl that did what she was told, and now she's becoming a girl that stands up for herself, and he doesn't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You know, if I could ask for anything, I would probably, this is one of those books that I would want to be made into, I would want to see this on the big screen, but I think I want to see it as an animation. I don't necessarily know that I would want it CGI, necessarily. Maybe I'm just tired of seeing all the CGI. I'm like, it gets old after a while, you know? But yeah, I could see this as an animation. Especially one scene. There's one scene where Riel and Avery are out on a meadow with his Avida, and I forgot her name. It's Awani, I think. And he's decided it's time for her to learn how to ride an Avida on her own. So he puts her up there and leaves her up there and tells her, okay, you're going to learn how to ride an Avida. And she's like, no. And he's like, yeah. And he convinces her to do this. So she's like, okay, what do I do? And he's like, well, okay, just give her a squeeze. And she leans down and wraps her arms around the neck of the Avida, which it's a giant horse-like creature with antlers. And he's like, no, with your knees. You squeeze the animal to get her to go. And she's like, oh. The reason I want this animated is because I think that it would be fun to see the kind of reaction of this whole interaction from see the Avida's reaction. Like, what, are you hugging me or are you putting me in a chokehold? I don't know what's going on here. And then she gives kind of a snort, like she's laughing at Avery when Avery straightens back up. Like she realizes Avery has no idea what she's doing. So I would love to see that part animated. But yeah, relationships on both sides are strained and damaged, and and like I said, I'm reluctant to say damaged, because they're not so much damaged as they are just, we're no longer pretending what this relationship is anymore. You know, when Avery starts making her demands to her government caretakers, she realizes that they're not all some of them are exactly what they seemed to be before the incident, and some of them she's realizing, oh, you were always on the side of the government. You were never really on my side. You were on my side as long as I was useful to the government. And as soon as she starts putting those stipulations on what changes she wants to make, immediately he's like, well, hang on, and he's resistant. And as soon as she makes the ultimatum of, you will do this or I'm not coming back, then everyone starts kind of scrambling of, like, we need to get her back, so the power dynamic has shifted, and they have to acknowledge that. With Riel, he is the second-born son of the royal family in the Fae world, and his parents have always kind of dismissed him as, you're the spare. You know, we got the heir and the spare, you're the spare. You do the stuff that your brother's more important than you. He has more important things to do than you, and you will do the things that make it easier for him to do the important stuff so that he doesn't have to deal with the menial stuff. And he becomes her kind of guide and guardian in the Fae world, while he's teaching her not only how to heal herself, but also how to draw from the source power and teach her about this world she's living in. And as it says, they kind of fall for each other, and that puts an even more strain on the family, because, like I said, the queen and the crown prince both believe she's a spy, and they are wanting to act rashly. And the king is keeping a cool head about this. He's like, look, I understand she might be a threat, but if she hasn't done anything yet, we can't act, because if we do, then we'll start war with the other people, and we just don't need that right now. You know, so, but his mother and his brother do have a bit of a disdain towards him, and they treat him as well as can be expected given their disdain for him. But once everything kind of comes to a head, whatever little relationship he has with his mom and his brother has to change, because with the changing of their world and the change of their dynamics with the human race, and the change of their dynamics with another. There's another Fae kingdom that they're not exactly friendly with. So they've got two nations on either side of them that are not necessarily friendly, but not necessarily contentious, and they've got to figure out how to bridge these relationships. And so you've got this relationship with their kingdom and this kingdom, and this kingdom in the human world, and Riel with his parents, and Riel with his brother, and Avery with her guards. And eventually all of the pretense and all of the illusions just fade away and shatter, and what you're left with is the reality of these relationships and how they deal with that. And like I said, I thought it was going to be, this side good, this side bad, and instead the reality, it's a very real situation of this kingdom over here isn't bad, they're not good, they're just there, they are just who they are. This kingdom that Riel lives in isn't good or bad, it's just these are who they are. The humans aren't good or bad, they are just humans, and it's less about who's good, who's bad, who's right, who's wrong, and how do all of these relationships come together and try to coexist without stepping on each other's toes and creating more animosity. But yeah, I do like I said, I like how realistic it is, despite being a fantasy, as far as relationships, not just personal relationship, not just how real the personal relationships are, because Riel definitely has a different relationship with his father than he does his mother, and a different relationship between him and his brother. He's a lot more sassy with his brother, obviously, than he is with his parents, but even how he relates to his parents, he relates to his mother differently than he does his father. Avery, she hasn't seen her parents since she was a child. They sent her off when she was 14 to live at the White House, and she hasn't seen them since. They don't come and visit her. She's not allowed to go visit them. They call once in a while. For the most part, they just get a check from the government for letting them have their daughter, but once she becomes an adult, they no longer get that check. Avery starts getting that check, and Avery sees this relationship with Riel and his parents, and she's like, listen, I know that your relationship with your parents isn't great, but at least you have something. Like, she doesn't even have that with her parents, and she starts thinking about, is there a way that she can repair her relationship with her parents and have the relationship she wants with them. And I can't say one way or the other if she does, because, again, I don't want to say too much about the story. I feel like I've said a bit too much already. But, yeah, it was a fun read. I really liked Riel and Avery. And Avery, I think that Avery will annoy some romantasy readers just because she's in her 20s and she's acting like she acts kind of naively like a kind of a teenager, but I think that is, for me, I felt like that was justifiable because, like I said, she lived a very sheltered life in the White House with all these caretakers. She never had to do anything for herself. She never really knew what was going on in the rest of the world. despite sociology being one of her favorite subjects. She was homeschooled at the White House. She did her lessons at the White House. She does not have a real world scope of what her world is like, because she's only given what she only knows what she's been given by her caretakers. So from the time she was 14, so she kind of gets stagnated in this teenage mindset of naivety, which I think is realistic. So I would say that if you're one of those people that don't like when the 20-year-old acts like a teenager, understand that it is justified in this, because she has been kind of stagnated in that time of life of being protected. Other than that, I don't have the book in here with me, do I? No, I don't. Okay. It's at my bedside. That's all I've got to say about this one. The next book we're looking at is going to be... Actually, the one after this is Heart's Lock Love's Key, which is an anthology of short story romance novels, short story romance stories by 10 different Canadian authors. And after that will be Relentless Blades by Russell Carroll. And I think after that, Poison Bay. So that's what we've got lined up for now. The live stream of me unboxing the 100 books will most likely happen in early to mid-December. Yeah, it'll happen sometime in December, because I can't buy all 100 books all at once, because I just don't have the money to do that all at once. But as the money comes in, I will be buying the books, and I should have them all by Thanksgiving. And then it's just getting, because my granddaughter and my niece both want to be a part of that live stream. Their parents have given them permission to do so, and so it's just kind of coordinating with them. But the unboxing will happen before the end of the year, because I've got to start next year's reading. And I don't know if I'm going to have a different format as far as scheduling goes. We'll see. But until then, as usual, I'll put a link in the description box of this book as well as one of mine. There's another book after this one, The Golden Children. I don't know if it's out yet. If it is, I will link to that as well. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.